To have a deer like that come every morning and every night in daylight, it's hard to imagine 10 days in a row, 15 days in a row, 30 days in a row. As we're going through this process, I'm sending pictures to everyone, and I just felt, it's that waiting game of, is he gonna shed his velvet and disappear? Is he gonna stick around? This farm is mainly just a cattle farm. We lease it out for the pasture out, we lease the hay ground out, so I don't have the opportunity to plant a lot of things here that I wish I could. But I am able to feed here, have some year-round mineral sites that I keep fresh, and that was actually the very first picture of this buck this year that I shot. I got him on a Real World Maximizer mineral site that's been established for several years, so once I got that first picture of him, I knew I wanted to get some more. We had 2 deer last year that me and my buddy that hunts the property behind here, we shared pictures and agreed that these are 2 deer that we really wanted to pass. Easily distributable. We had the same 2 real big kickers off the back, but they weren't obviously the size. They were probably 3 or 4 inches apiece. But we put him on definitely a deer that we didn't want to get shot. And luckily enough, we had the acreage here to somewhat try to let deer pass and have a good opportunity to grow. So when he showed up this year, the first picture I got of him was probably in July, late June, early July, on a mineral site, and I could tell right then he had really packed on the inches. Last year, I feel like he was probably 125, 130 inch deer. So I mean, he put on at least 30, 40 inches. I was really surprised. I didn't expect him to really put on what he put on. I really thought he maybe needed another year. Based off last year, coming into this year, I was like, he may be a shooter. I want to definitely see what he looks like. But it was definitely a deer that I was targeting to get some pictures of to see what he had done. And fortunately enough, he put on a lot of inches. This is Kentucky in a nutshell right here. We got big long ridges, hay ridges, and we got cattle pastures in the hollers, and that's really where this farm really embodies that. We have really long ridges. From the very front of the farm to the back of the farm is almost a mile long, and it's pretty wide as well. Like I said, we have 250 acres here, but you can look across here and just see the next ridge from here. But if you really dive in there and go down and up, you would be surprised how much acreage is really in there and how much ground and places deer can hide. But with that, a lot of different browse with the different elevations on that, and also the moisture with the creeks. I mean, there's just creeks and water running every which way around here. So you don't have those watering holes to hunt or things like that. But oak flats and ridge tops, you can really pattern deer. This year I wanted to hunt this deer on top. I didn't want to go down into the valleys if I didn't have to. This deer I didn't have to I knew I wasn't going to have to be super aggressive with him, with where he was versus the deer I was hunting last year. So once I was able to start supplemental feeding August 1st, like I had some feed set up at a place that I really would like to have killed the deer. It was going to be really easy access. I knew that I could get in and out easily. It was going to be a short walk, which I loved, but unfortunately he just didn't want to eat there. So once I figured that out, I moved in closer to where I'd seen him in the past and put some feed there. And the next day he was in there. And then he was there 30 days in a row until I killed him the 31st day, September 7th. So to have a deer like that come every morning and every night in daylight, it's hard to imagine. And I just felt, it's that waiting game of, is he gonna shed his velvet and disappear? Is he gonna stick around? I felt pretty good that even if he did shed his velvet, I was going to still be able to kill him just because I had so many pictures of him throughout the winter, November, December. I had him all year long last year, so I really didn't feel like he was really going anywhere. But if I can kill him in velvet, I definitely will. People think that in these states where you can bait at it, just makes it really easy, but if you really put a lot of thought into it, you can really help yourself. And you got to feed deer where they want to be fed in order to get them to feed in daylight. But also that pattern of feeding them I set this deer up to where I could be able to get driven in on my side-by-side, because I fed the deer on a Saturday at this time, 4 or 5 weeks in a row. Watch those cell cameras, see if he was reactive to it. Would he still come that night? Would he not? And he did. That gave me the green light to be able to get driven in on the side-by-side, act like we were feeding. Super glad to have Dan down here with me in Kentucky filming tonight. Got Cody in the back. We're headed in. It's early. It's about, what, 2:30, guys? Yep. And we're headed to the tree stand. Beautiful morning. It's cooled down like 25 degrees from just yesterday. We put out a bag of feed as we were getting in the stand, so that sound, that repetition, we just got set up in the tree, and he heard the side-by-side leave, because I knew he probably wasn't bedded more than a couple hundred yards away. The weather was perfect. Like I said, it really cooled down quite a bit. It was 60s, maybe low 70s, just beautiful weather compared to the 90s that we've had for weeks. So we got ready, sprayed down. My other buddy came over, and he drove us in on the side-by-side, shimmied my way up, got settled in, and then told my buddy to kick rocks in the UTV. So he got out of there, and we settled in, and it didn't take very long for those does to start popping out. I mean, we were probably in the stand 30 minutes before we got the first doe under us. So we were in the stand for a couple hours, me and Dan. We had the does all around us. We're just watching them, filming. They're playing around, really giving us a really cool show, just enjoying it. I look up, I could see the deer start moving through the timber. I didn't know if it was him at first, but he kind of just walking through the woods like he had something sitting on massive on top of his head. And I thought initially it was his velvet, because the way he was moving his head around, like the velvet was coming off and they was shaking the velvet. But it was actually those two kickers that were coming off that one side that was just working. He was just working his way slowly through the timber. And the way this tree was set up, I tried to leave a bunch of cover in it, and it was such a massive group of trees that we were able to position the cameraman stand where he was really secluded and could get away with a lot of movement, where my stand was more where I needed to get a shot, so it was more in the open. That deer come right up through the timber straight at us. Didn't take him long to work through the timber. He knew where he was going, and he really wasn't worried about anything else. The does kind of moved to the side. They knew who was coming, and he moved right into the feed, and he stood under us under 15 yards for over 20 minutes. He was on Dan's side, and we had this big branch that was covering him that I was like, can I get a shot? Can I get a shot? I'm searching, got my bow in my hand, I'm searching for a hole, and then I had to like talk myself out of it. I was like, just give it time, he'll give us a shot. And eventually a spike tries to come into the feed, and Kickstand just kind of lunges at him like he's gonna chase him off, and then he jumps back into a shooting lane, and Dan gets the camera on him. He slaps me in the leg.
Boy, oh, good shot, man. Good shot. Oh, 20 minutes. Smoking. Oh, man. Oh, my goodness. Thanks for coming. Oh, dude, you smoked him.
That was it. I mean, it was crazy how long that he was under us, and we're trying, searching. We really, even the camera arm, Dan's trying to get on him, and the camera arm starts to pop up out of the base, and I grab it. I mean, we really got away with a lot with him under us, but I felt really good about the set. Just goes to making sure the set is absolutely perfect and foolproof. Thankful for Cody driving us in. He's part of year 3. Girlfriend Tristan. Got down, checked the arrow, and just kind of looked around. I didn't have like a really good blood trail because I really didn't know where he had jumped to, but I ended up just walking maybe 10, 20 yards from the stand and kind of just went right in the woods, and I could see him. I mean, he didn't run 50 yards from where I'd shot him at, and he was piled up right there.
You hammered
I
him.
smoked him, but I actually shot him way better than you thought. He was a little bit quarter away, hit a square to the loss, kept right out through the front shoulder.
Once I walked up on him and got my hands on him and feel how much mass he had, those kickers, how long they were. We had a running joke of how long these kickers are going to be, and when they end up going 11 and 9 inches, I mean, it's just absolutely, crazy. And you just don't get to appreciate the character of a lot of these deer until you can actually get up on them and see them. And was able to get them loaded up. We got some pictures and got them back to the house. And then everybody starts pouring in. So it's always cool when all your buddies come over and can take a look at them. They've seen pictures of him, and just be able to share that experience with you. And then after that, I mean, we hung him up. Wanted to really get some nice pictures here in the barn that I'd done several years ago, and having that side by side and just watching the deer's reaction to that and feeding. I was prepared to make the walk if we needed to, but once I'd done it 1, 2, 3 times, and he kept showing up and didn't care that that we were in there. We had the right access. We weren't bumping him. We weren't driving through his bedding area, but he could hear us definitely coming in. But most importantly, he could hear it leaving. And I think that tactic, I call it ringing the dinner bell. They hear that side by side. They know there's fresh feed there, and they know there was humans there. So that scent of you being there, they kind of get used to it, and they know that they didn't have the danger. They see the reward of it being there. So that first couple sits is pretty crucial, and luckily he came in pretty early and gave us a good shot. One of the coolest parts about deer hunting to me is those relationships, whether I'm hunting myself, helping one of my buddies hunting, or just my customers too. The amount of clients that I had after I shot that buck text me and congratulate me and show me what they're going to be going after is all really part of the cool experience. And being able to share that with others is something that I'm really thankful for, and really encourage everyone to be a good neighbor and be a good friend. This Osceola gear, we had deer within 20 yards of us for hours tonight. Holy cow.